Hi folks, welcome to the Document Ninja. Today we're going to look at the question to clip or not to clip. That is the question. So we know, or most of us know maybe, that DocuWare has the ability to clip two or more documents together. And we're going to A, show you how to do that, and B, show you why maybe that might not be necessary. So we are going to look at both scenarios. So just before we get started here, a reminder, feel free to subscribe to our channel. We have lots of more tips coming, and please like the video, hit the thumbs up. We would love to see a lot of those thumbs in the air. All right, here we go. Okay, folks, so we are going to log into our DocuWare systems as our friend Peggy Jenkins to show you a couple things. And we're going to first start by showing you how to clip, and then we're going to look at, do I want to clip documents together? So I wanted to point out something real quick. Notice we have a few different, what we call search dialogues in our IP accounting file cabinet. Again, this is a pre-configured solution from DocuWare. So a lot of you may have something just like this, or you might have something similar. So notice I picked the one called invoice search. So here, if I go and look for my vendor US Steel, in this case, I do a search and I find one document which happens to be an invoice. Sounds good since I used the invoice search. But I think I have a purchase order from them, but why aren't I seeing it? Well, that is because I used the invoice search. So that search is only going to find invoices. So if I look at my all fields search, and I would recommend if you have other documents that you have your administrator create a dialog that has some number of less fields than this. This is a little on the ridiculous side, but notice I have now this document type field, which is going to allow me to pick from multiple document types. So now if I go and look for that same search and look for my vendor name of US Steel, I could do a couple things. One, I could pick which one. So this is saying, oh, we have an invoice, we have a packing list, we have a purchase order, all from US Steel. I could pick one or the other, or if I do a search, exact same search, now I see three different types of documents. Two of them happen to have the same purchase order number. That's going to come into play later. But just wanted to point that out. All field search or detailed search, or maybe you have another search, but the invoice search will only return invoices. So wanted to point that out before we get started. But let's say we have our invoice here and we received a packing list. Maybe that's a little backwards, but just bear with me for this example. It could be a packing list. It could be an email correspondence, what have you. But if I want to actually clip a new document to this one, I'm going to just simply right click on my document. And by the way, the user doing this does need to have edit rights within the file cabinet. By default, I'm not sure if all finance users in this case have edit rights. I actually had to add them for Peggy Jenkins. So if you right click and you do not see clip here, again, talk to your administrator. You need to have edit rights if you're going to clip documents. So I am going to right click and click clip. And notice it's going to show me the current document right here in the middle. Why does it show me that in the middle? Because below here I have a screen with my document trays. And this is how we clip a document, is from a document tray. So I'm going to click my drop down, and remember we said it was going to be a packing slip. So here are my current packing slips. And if I want this, the reason this is in the middle and I have a space before and a space after is, do I want to put it before the document or after? So I'm going to choose after in this case. And oh, what if I want to also attach the purchase order? I can go to my purchase orders tray. Maybe we'll put that one before. Let's put it after. So now what I'm telling DocuWare is I want to have all three of those clipped together. So I click clip, and now notice our file type icon here has got a little clip in it. So that's telling me I have multiple files clipped together. So now when I look at it in my viewer, I get this additional icon here that is showing me I have a other documents. So here's our purchase order, here's our packing slip, all together in one clipped document. So pretty simple. Actually, that's the purchase order, I misspoke. But pretty simple. We right click on the existing document, tell it to clip, and then I retrieve whatever other document from the tray, and I go ahead and clip that. So pretty simple. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. Happy to answer them for you. Now that I showed you how to clip documents, I'm going to take the position, especially in a scenario like this in accounting, we might not need to clip them. And I don't have an argument either way. Whatever is your preference, go for it. But here's why I'm thinking you might not need or even want to clip them. And this is taking advantage of what we call the related documents feature. So let's say I'm on this invoice, and maybe we'll ignore the clipped documents. But if they are clipped, the only way for me to see them or to know that I have them is to, maybe notice the icon or page through the files. If we store them as separate documents, but with something that relates them, i.e. a purchase order number or an invoice number, anything of that type, I can see them in my result list like this. So if I have them stored, and let's narrow our search a little bit so that we are going to look for US Steel and purchase order number this, 132154812. So if they're stored as separate documents, then in the search, when I search for that PO number, I can see them right here. So in this case, now when I store my new packing list, if I store that as a related document or as its own document instead of clipping it, I'll store it. And now if I search for US Steel and that purchase order number, or even in just US Steel, I'll see a little extra document or two in here. But I can now see in the overview, and if I go back, let's go ahead and put that order number again so I can illustrate a little better. We'll search for our purchase order number 132154812. And so notice here now, remember how with the clipped document, actually, let's look at that. What I'm getting to here is it accomplishes almost the same thing. So within our single clip document, I can page through this way, but I don't see it in the overview. Actually, let's do that from here. This shows you only the clip document, and I don't see it in the overview, but I can go through each document and page through them. But with the not clipped documents, I see them in the overview, and oh, by the way, I can still page through each one. I'm just flipping between documents. So in a DocuWare environment, whether the document's clipped or not, as long as they have something that relates them, like a purchase order number or an invoice number, and those are all indexed with the same thing, you essentially have the same function whether you clip them or not. The other advantage I get by using related documents, let's go back to our invoice search. So let's say we just looked up the invoice and that's all we did. So we're looking at our invoice, and every DocuWare system has this capability. It comes already configured for you in the pre-configured solution. But notice I have this related documents button here. So this is all three-way match documents, which in this case equals any documents with the same PO number. I can click that little link button, and now it shows me a new search result with all the documents that are related. So essentially, this button shows me exactly the same thing that clipping the documents would. Now, some organizations, hey, we want to see them all as one document, all clipped together. That's totally fine. I just want to make sure you're not doing extra work that's not necessary. You know, you're not having to go and clip them. In this way, we're just storing it. So it's kind of 6 in one, half a dozen the other from a storage standpoint. The advantages of storing them as separate documents is we can see them from an overview standpoint like this, where I can visually see, I can use related documents and see them all together. But again, it's up to you. Clip or staple both work, but you can, you know, the choice is yours in this case. So I hope this helped you out a little bit, that you were able to see, one, how to clip documents, and two, that maybe you might not need to, depending on the scenario. So if you found this content helpful, please feel free to hit the thumbs up button for us. And if you think it was terrible, let us know that in your comments. Or if you have additional questions about DocuWare or about electronic documents in general, shoot us a note in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And hopefully you'll have a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.